Okay, this is a tutorial for the smartphone case assignment for Computer Design 1. This video is going to refer to the project found in your Google Drive folder. You will find these two files. It doesn't matter what phone you choose. If you are choosing to create a phone of your own design, the tutorial does not change much, but the model of what you use will. So you're going to want a SolidWorks file that either you have modeled after a phone or you found online with me and we checked over it. So I give you the iPhone model, which is fairly popular, but if you are going to use your own, this would be different, and you would right click the object and download it to your folder. Now we're going to open this. I'm going to do this first before beginning so I know I have a copy of it. Okay, so here's the phone. If I could rotate around it with the middle mouse wheel, I could see it has some fancy detail to it, and we're going to save this to our H drive. So you would come up here and you would choose Save As, and you would locate your H drive on your computer and make sure that you save it there. This is my computer, so I'm just going to save it to the desktop. You will save it to your H drive, and I'm just going to have a copy of it there. The reason you want to do this, if it comes up with this error, that's okay. You want a copy of the phone for yourself. If you don't create a copy, tomorrow you're going to come in your project and your work's going to be gone, and you're going to have to re-download the phone file. But by putting it on the desktop, or on your H drive rather, you're going to have that file for yourself. All right, so you want to make sure you do that first. Once you have it in the H drive, we can now begin with the tutorial steps. I'm going to be referring to the PowerPoint, which is provided to you, and I'm not going to have it up. I'm just going to go through the steps at my pace so you can work through them. But the iPhone case project is right here. You can open the tutorial and you're going to get a PowerPoint that looks something like this. And there's a fair amount of steps because it's picture by picture, which hopefully, if this video doesn't help you, you can use that to kind of really help get you where you need to be. But this is to help really kind of make it easier for you so you can see exactly what I click. It's not difficult. It's not too many steps, and you could pause and replay at any time to help sort of make sense of this. Okay, so I'm going to close that and I'm going to move this out of the way. Alright, so we have a phone model, and this is already created. It's to scale, and regardless of what phone you choose, we need to find a realistic replica of it. So this is to scale of the current iPhone 4 and 4S, I believe. So we're going to use it as sort of an object, and we're going to build a case around it. And the reason we want this phone here is so that we don't guess how big the case needs to be. We have something directly to work off of. We don't have to worry about knowing where the slots are or ports. We just simply make a case that surrounds this and delete the phone afterwards or hide it, and hopefully have what's left over, which will be a case that your phone will fit in. This does not cover how the 3D printing will work. That's separate. So if you are going to end up printing this, you check with me and we'll go over the exact steps of what you need to do to make sure that it works. All right. Okay, so we have our phone, but our phone is a part, and if I come over on the left hand side, I see the part icon in the upper left hand corner. That's that little Tetris piece. We need to turn this project into an assembly, because what we're going to do is we're going to build the case outside of the phone that we see in front of us. If we built it right now, they would be one object, and you don't want the case and the phone to be one object. We want them each to be their own part And by doing this in an assembly, it'll just verify that we don't accidentally make the case melded or welded to the phone itself. So we're going to make this into an assembly. You just come up to the top, you click New, Make Assembly from Part. There's one choice there. If you don't see this screen, if it looks different, this is a last year's version of SolidWorks, so it doesn't matter. Just you're making an assembly, so you should get to this screen right here, and it has the iPhone available as an object to be placed, and you just left click anywhere on the screen. It says it's from an educational version. Yes, that's fine. If you see that error, just to say okay. Okay, so this is a model that was created by someone, and it looks pretty good, but we don't really care about it. We're in an assembly. We are gonna put a new part down over here, and then we're going to edit that part. So we come up to the top, we click New Part. I'm clicking this little down arrow below the Insert Components. New Part. I'm going to make a part, yes. And we see right here that the part has been made. But before I can finish, I need to get rid of this green check. If you see it, my mouse has this little green check next to it. You just want to click anywhere in empty space. Don't click on the part, click off the part. Left click. That just accepts and verifies that the object that you are creating will be placed in the new assembly. Alright, so now I have two parts. I have iPhone and I have a object which has not been made. I'm going to rename this. I click it once and then click it again. You can also right click and rename. And we're going to name it case. So I know the difference now. Right here is where I'm going to save my assembly. Right in this, you'll see your menu pop up and you say yes, save all, and save it to your H drive. I'm going to save mine to my desktop. This is my computer, and this is called smartphone case, and you would be saving it to your H drive. All right. The reason we want to do that is that from now on, anytime we want to save, we just click the save button and it's saved. We don't have to worry about parts or anything like that. It's all taken care of. Okay, so the phone is already made, so we're going to be working on the case. In order to do that, every time you start up this project, you need to select the case part, go up with the shortcut menu, and select Edit Part. That's going to allow us to get into the new part we created and make the object. So our cell phone should kind of go invisible, and below our case you will see the options that allow us to create our parts. So we have front, top, and right planes, and it's just like starting a new part, only now we have this phone sort of invisible in our screen that's going to be used as our measuring and nothing else. Okay, so first of all, we got to make a box around it, and we're going to create what I consider a coffin around the phone. But in order to do that, we need to create a new plane that lives inside of this phone, right down the middle. So I'm going to make a new plane which is referenced off of the top plane. So top plane, select it. So I'm just going to click it once so it's blue. I'm going to come over to Reference, Geometry, and I'm going to reference a plane. That's going to make the computer generate a new plane, and then all we're going to do is click right in the center of your phone. And that's why this doesn't have to be an iPhone. Any model, if you have a center point, and it could be anywhere in the middle, it could be any center point. So that point there, it could be this point, it could be that point, that point. These are all center points because it's a symmetric object. And you just click it once and you'll see the top of the case, the front plane has been selected, and my second reference is point 1, which is this point right here. I will click accept, and I'll zoom out a little so you could see sort of what happened. And if I look at it from the front, you'll now see our new plane is now dissecting or bisecting the object. and that's what we really want. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use that new plane to sketch our boundary of our phone on. So I'm going to view from the top, and I'm going to create a new sketch on plane 1. So I'm not going to choose one of these three. I'm going to select plane 1, sketch. I'm inside of a new sketch. I can verify that by the purple and red X, which allows me to exit the sketch. And I also see it's over here. So this iPhone, I'm going to trace the boundary, and I'm going to use the offset tool to just create a path that mimics the profile of the object. So I'm going to choose the outermost edge around the entire phone. So this outermost edge, I'm going to offset it to create the outwards material of my case. So how thick I want the case to be. Offset entities. So I'm in the sketch. I just click this button. It's going to be 0.1 inches, I believe is what the tutorial is, or 0.08, I think. 0.08 inches. IN. Let me change this right now while I'm here. So mine are showing millimeters. I'm going to come down to the bottom toolbar. I'm going to click where this says custom, and I'm going to change it to inches. That way I don't get confused here. I got to re-enter my sketch because it kicked me out. Offset. Choose the outermost edge. All right. And you just basically work your way around. Be careful not to select one of the inner edges. We're selecting the outermost edge all the way around the phone, and you just follow the blue line and you click the one it's reaching. So until you make your way all the way around, now I gotta do the bottom, you will be finished. So there's one there, there's one there, and one last one here. Be careful not to select the inside because it'll go wrong, it'll break, and that can mess stuff up. You want to click this outermost edge. If you accidentally click the wrong edge, you need to select it again to deselect it. Sort of like a button, on and off. You want the outermost edge, and that looks pretty good. 0.08 inches. That's fairly decent as far as material. So that's how thick my case would be from the outside. I'm going to click accept because my boundary is successful. And from here, I'm going to extrude. So features, extrude at boss base, and I'm going to extrude both ways to make a coffin or a box that my phone will live inside of. So extrude boss base. The height is going to be, I believe, 0.3, not millimeters again, 0.3 inches. That might be a little much. 0.25 inches. 0.25 inches. That's good. Oh, don't do that. Control Z. Extrude boss base. 0.25 inches and direction 2. I forgot. So I want to go both directions. Direction 1 and direction 2. Both equal distance because it's a symmetric object. 0.25 inches should do it. And we'll just verify by looking at the yellow, and it all looks good. So I accept. And now my phone is living inside of this case. I can verify by turning on my hidden lines, and there it is. So we got a phone inside of this case. So to make it look a little more like a case before I take a break, we're going to shell out the material off the top. That way we can actually see what's inside of it. We're going to shell it so that we leave a little bit of material around all of the edges, so that if we do fit these two together, the phone has a little bit of wiggle room. We don't want to leave nothing there and make the distance between the phone and the case 0. We want to leave a little gap of air so that they fit together. All right, so that's our shell command. And I'm going to click the top surface. This is the top. All right, we don't want to shell the back by accident, so make sure you're looking at the top of the phone. All right, and then we're going to shell and the distance, I believe, is 0.06 inches. We can verify that with the tutorial, but let's see what it looks like. I could always change it, so I'm going to accept that change. And there's our shell, and I'm going to just look at a top view. I'm going to come in and I'm going to look at the distance here, and this looks pretty good. That distance looks pretty happy. If I measure that distance with the evaluate tool, the distance between the case and the phone, oh, it doesn't let me. I must have to leave the assembly there. Let's measure this. Measure from here to here. That is 0.02. That's okay. That'll work. That'll work. Okay, here's our case. I have my case. I have my phone. I can edit the case to make changes to it, exit, and come back with the whole phone and case, and we can see the whole thing. All right, let's take a break. All right, now we're back. What I'm going to do here is simply cut out some material for the plug so we can power it, and we're going to unplug some, we're going to cut out some material up here for the power and the headphone jack so that you can plug things into it. Later you're going to come back and we're going to do the volume buttons. Now this is fairly simple. We just basically want to look at the phone and see through it. So we're going to turn on our hidden lines so we can see through our phone. Make sure that you're editing this part and you didn't accidentally leave and it's black. Make sure you select the case and have edit part selected, and this should be blue where the case is. That allows you to edit this. Otherwise you're not going to edit this and you won't be able to really do anything. So you want to edit the part you want to make changes to. Alright, so I made this hidden lines visible. I'm going to view the front of the object, so the front of my phone, and I'm just going to cut a box right here, and I'm just going to cut it all the way through to the other side even, so that what I do is create this groove that will allow me to plug stuff into. I'm not going to go all the way down though, because this is the bottom of my case, and I want to make sure that I leave a little bit of space so that I don't accidentally like just cut away the whole case and it's actually just two separate pieces. So be careful not to cut too far down. I'm going to create a sketch on this surface. So if I looked at it solid, we're creating a sketch on this surface. So sketch, I'm going to view the front just like I was showing. I'm going to turn on hidden lines so they still have this. I'm going to create a rectangle, so a regular rectangle. I'm going to start in the top left corner of this dot. I'm going to come all the way down to the other side, and I'm just going to connect to the other edge of this line. Smart dimension, and we're going to smart dimension the height. Oops, doesn't want me to. Let me try this one more time. It's rectangle from the top, and we're going to come down, and we're going to connect it to there. That'll let me dimension it. So I accidentally, if you might do this too, I accidentally selected another point over here, and it's giving me that orange dot. That's bad. I want to just connect it to the edge and nothing else, so it shouldn't see a orange dot or anything like that. So I click there, smart dimension the height, and let's do this like 0.375 inches and see if that looks pretty good. I'm looking at this shape and I'm seeing that it's going to cut away all that material and leave me a nice good space to plug stuff in and have the speakers work. So I'm going to features, extruded cut, because I'm removing material, and I'm going to cut all the way through the object. So I want to drag that arrow all the way through it, because we're going to come up through the other side, accept, and you'll see, turn back on shaded mode, I now have access to the power button or sleep button and the headphone jack. That should be enough room for most anything. If I wanted to, I can come in and move this down and give myself some more space, but this is okay. All right, so my phone case is coming together. It's starting to look a little more like a case. The only thing left here, if I printed this as is or left it be, if I flip my phone over, so let's zoom out a little here. If I flip it over and I shook it, there's nothing holding this phone in, and it would just fall out. So the job here, or the goal here, is to create a little ledge for the phone to just be held in and secured so that it won't fall out. And what's the point of having a case? So this could be done a number of ways, and in the tutorial it has you create a ledge that rides all the way along this border, and it sort of creates a tiny little step here where you kind of clip the phone in. So we're gonna do that, and I'm gonna do it a little differently this time than the tutorial. And the reason is I don't want to use so much material. This is for you if you're 3D printing this or you're going to create it. I'm only going to do it in the 4 corners. I'm not going to do it all the way down the edge as far as the ledge goes. You'll see what I'm talking about in a moment. Okay, so we're gonna create these edges to hold the phone in. So I'm going to edit the case part because I accidentally left the part. So I'm going to click the case. Oops. It's easier if you click the symbol rather than the text. You'll find that it'll work a lot easier to get this shortcut menu open. Otherwise, it sometimes hides. So I click edit part. I'm going to sketch off the top of my phone case. So this ledge right here. I have shaded lines turned on in case you accidentally are still in hidden lines. Alright, so top of the case, sketch. What we're going to do is we're going to create a little ledge right in this corner right here. So if you know how to do this, you should already see what we're trying to create. Alright, you've done this with the camera on the back when we used the Convert Entities tool. So it's very similar. And you're going to see this tool used quite often. So we're going to convert entities. I'm going to select these 4 radiuses. 1, 2, zoom out, and I'm going to get the back ones down here. 3, 4. And I have 4 edges selected that are going to be the pieces that hold this phone in. So I'm going to accept, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to offset those lines inside the case. So offset 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to reverse the direction inwards, and the distance can stay 0.08. That would be fine. I think that'll be far enough over to just hold in my case. So I'm going to accept that command. And now what I need to do, this is that railroad rule, I have to connect those dots to, not have these broken. So I'm going to have to create a series of lines here, and you got to be careful to start it where one line ends and end it where the other goes there. Try to be very careful with this. Click once, click twice, and then if you do it successfully, the line should turn off, meaning if you do it wrong, it's going to want you to keep making lines. If you do it right, I'm going to Control Z here out of that, and if you do it right, you start your line and then you end your line, it just turns off. It's like an auto off because it thinks the line is complete. So 1, 2. All right, come back to the top. I got to do these. Don't forget about them. 1, 2, 1, 2. Click, click. A lot of little clicks here, and there's our last one. And I'm very carefully attaching those points. Okay, that's a very tedious step that I did very quickly, but hopefully you see what's going to happen here. We sketched on the top of the case, so what would be the top. We converted the entities of the edges, these round edges or these arcs, and then we offset them to kind of copy them inwards, and then we connected the broken gaps. Because now we have 4 extrusions, which we're going to just extrude because we're going to make material, and we're going to extrude these 4 surfaces. So my computer doesn't recognize these as bodies, so I've got to go in and select the contours. So selected contours, I have to select the 4 bodies. Yours might automatically turn these yellow, but mine for some reason didn't recognize it. So 1, 2, whoa, okay, 3 and 4, and all I'm doing is selecting this region because the computer's confused and it's really long. So we're gonna bring that down because this is a little silly, so bring that down. We're gonna go zoom in, and the distance here is gonna be just enough to hold the phone case in but not touch it. We don't want this touching because we want a little bit of air in there. If you have it too tight, you'll never get the thing in. You're going to be fighting it and you'll drop your phone or something and it's going to be a disaster. So make sure you're leaving a little bit of space. Now, you want to rotate the camera so you could see inside of there, and that space is what we're looking for. Mine's 1.35 millimeters. If I converted that to inches, that's something like 0.08 probably. No, 0.08 inches. No, never mind. 0.05 inches. There we go. 0.05 inches. 0.05 inches. That's a pretty good value for this if you're making the case that I'm making. Leave merge result checked so that this merges with that body. Okay, we haven't talked much about that, but this is significantly important. We want to keep that checked. All right, that basically creates these little ledges, which now will hopefully hold our phone in place if they work. Now this case is pretty much complete, except we're missing the volume buttons. But other than that, this is pretty much ready to go. Now before we leave, we're going to round all the corners with fillets to make it smooth so it's nice and feels good. And we're going to put a hole in the back for the camera. So we're not done. We're not out of the woods yet. So to make the the volume holes, it's fairly straightforward. We're going to sketch on the side where the camera button, the volume buttons are located, and then we're going to cut the shape away where we want some material removed so we can actually touch these buttons. So very simply, we're going to sketch on the side where the buttons are located. So here are my buttons. I'm going to sketch on this side. Right, I'm in a sketch. I'm going to view the right or left, I think it's the left, left of the phone, and we're going to turn on hidden lines, and voila, we have a visual of exactly where to put our cuts, so that we can put one right here where this little sleep wake buttons goes, and one right here. Now how you do this is up to you. I'm going to do square here, and I'm going to do a slot here. Just my preference. You could do 3 circles. You could do 1 big slot. It's not really a big deal as long as we have access to these. That's really the important thing. So this is going to be a square. So I'm going to do a square, and the square is just going to be around this sweep back button. So I just draw around it. It's that simple. And then that's going to be my sort of area that I have access. I can make that bigger, I can make it smaller, but I think that would be just fine because I don't want to accidentally hit this either. say it's in my pocket or something. So I want the slot to be fairly small, and I have to reach in to change that over. So you think about the use and you decide how you want this to work. All right, so here's my slot. I'm going to create a slot. This is very straightforward. We're just going to click where we want our slot to start, which is this circle, and then where we want it to end, which is that circle. So we're going to start in the center of this circle. So make sure you're clicking the center and not off to the side. Once, move on over, click the center of the next circle, and then we click one more time depending on the width of this. Now it doesn't really matter, again, it's preference. Just don't go way too big or way too small. You pick a nice healthy amount to remove. That looks good, and we're ready. I'm just going to cut this through the one side of the case. Be careful not to cut through the other side. That would be bad. So features, cut. We're just going to cut up about that much, right? Because I only want to cut this side. If you accidentally drag this all the way out, you're going to cut through the whole thing, and it's not going to work. It's going to look wrong. Okay, accept. Let's take a look at our cut. That looks pretty good. If I go into shaded mode, you'll see now I have visible ports. We need one more on the back where the camera goes, so we're going to do the same thing we did with the side, only the back of the case. So I'm going to create a new sketch on the back of the case. We're going to view the back, so view, and be careful here, choose the back, not the front, the back, whoops, sorry, the bottom, geez, and we're going to turn on our hidden line so we could actually see what we're doing. Oh, and there's my camera on the bottom right. So I'm on the back view. Oh, no, sorry, bottom view, and I have hidden lines shown. All right, this is what I want to cut out so I can actually use the camera and the flash. This is the flash, and this is the camera. So we want to make a shape here where the two are accessible. Now the shape is up to you. Again, I make a fancy teardrop shape, a circle that gets bigger, but that's fairly complex. I'm just going to do 2 circles this time, and that should be perfect. So circle, I'm going to draw 1 circle in the center of this, and it's just going to be a little bit bigger than the camera port. And I'm going to draw 1 circle where the flash is, and I'm going to try and make it the same distance away. So these 2 are there. Now this is regarding the roller coaster rule of our overlapping lines. So we're going to use our trim entities, and I'm going to drag and swipe with the Fruit Ninja tool basically through these centers. So I'm clicking and dragging through these 2, and voila. To kind of just make this look a little nicer before I leave, I'm going to use a sketch fillet. I could do this before or after, but I might as well do it now. Change your size to something reasonable. I'm going to do 0.1 inches, and we're going to do these 2 edges there, and I'm going to accept that, and it makes it look a little smoother instead of that really edgy kind of corner there. And we're going to finish off by turning this into a features, and accept that, extrude cut, and we're going to make sure we're cutting through the face. Now this one doesn't matter how deep you go because there is no other side to this case from top to bottom, so we're going to accept, turn on shaded, and it looks good. All right, we got the camera showing, we have the volume rocker, we have the sleep button, we have the charging port and the headphones, and we have something to hold the phone in. It's looking pretty good. So far this has been 30 minutes, 34 minutes to be exact, of taping, so this has probably been something you've been doing over the course of 2 class periods, but maybe you've gotten this done in 1, I don't know. So we're gonna now use some sketch fillets and finish this off just to give it that really final look, like a professional look. You don't want to hold something in your hand that has these very sharp edges and it's going to cut you, or it's just uncomfortable and it doesn't look professional. So we have the fillet tool and we're going to use it. In order to do that, what I'm going to do is hide the phone. I don't want to see the phone, and as of right now it's kind of not really necessary because I've used everything I needed to use it for. So I'm going to hide it so I don't get this like accidental edge click. I can just see my case. We come over here to the left, select the phone, and we hide component. So I'm clicking the phone and hide component, and then it's gone. And we just have what we made there. Okay, now I need to sketch fillet the surfaces. So fillet, feature fillet, and it's going to be a good size is 0.05 millimeters. You're going to see inches. I keep seeing millimeters, I keep saying inches. 127 millimeters or 0.05 inches will be great. And that's going to give us a really nice equal fillet. And I'm going to do all surfaces that I would touch. So I'm going to click this bottom face and it's going to do all around, and you're going to see it even does the camera there. Just by clicking the face, I'm going to click the edge here. I'm not going to click the face. I'm going to click the edge where the volume rockers go, and I'm going to click the edge where the sleep wake button goes. I'm also going to click the internal edges here so that I get a nice rounded look instead of that squarey boxy hole. That looks good. Okay, and the preview turned on, full preview, gives you a pretty good idea about what you're doing and how this is going to turn out. Okay, so now other surfaces that you might touch by accident would be this corner here, this corner there, this one, and all the outside edges. So I'm just imagining what this would be like holding it in my hand, and I would flip it, and I've got the other side, this side corner, this edge, oops, not that face, just turn it off, that edge there, and that edge there. Okay, I'm going to do these inside corners as well, sort of like I did over here, and that just gives it a little better quality of look, and same with the top edges here. So I'm really just taking my time, clicking all the edges that I think I would accidentally touch so that I can make sure it's nice and smooth. Go to the other side, do the same. Okay, it's hard to see, so I'm flipping the camera a little bit. 1, 2, 3. All right, and then this last one here. 1, 2, 3. Now before I get carried away, I'm going to click the accept command and see what's going on here. Okay, and let the computer calculate. And this is sort of what I have. And I like it. You don't want to get too carried away with the fillets. You will get errors and it won't work, and you don't want to put too many. So if you accidentally put too many, you're going to get an error, and you're going to have to stop, take a step back, look at what you're filleting, and you might be filleting too much. But you should be able to successfully fillet a majority of the part. So I did the camera, I did the slots, everything looks pretty good. Looks like I missed these corners, so I'm going to go back into the fillet edit feature. I'm just going to do these last 2 corners here. Now you can fillet as much as you want or as little as you want. This isn't functional. This is more about feeling, and it's just a matter of taste. So I like where I'm at here, and this looks pretty good as far as it'll be able to be made. So I'm going to leave the part. I'm going to bring back my phone. I'm going to click it and show components, and we have completed iPhone case. Not bad. Save your work if you haven't been saving 100 times already. We did this in one shot where I am, so hopefully you got that successfully done. That was 40 minutes.